Very many people have different ideas. Your idea is what sells you, but different people don't know how to sell their ideas. Or more still, they have the ideas, but they don't know what to use them for. That is the reason we are here. Welcome to the Creative Talk Show. My name is Ashabahewa Erina, and today I have the Research and Grants Manager, CAMTech Uganda, Madam Nambogo Nuriat. She's going to talk more about innovations. If you are out there, you have an idea and you think it can help someone or it can help a society, this is yours to watch. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Erina.
Okay, so briefly straight to the point, who is Madam Nuriat?
Nambogo Nuriat, I'm the Research and Grants Manager for CAMTech Uganda. I work more with innovators. I coordinate the program activities. CAMTech is the Consortium for Affordable Medical Technologies. We are based at Mbara University of Science and Technology. And we have an innovation ecosystem through which we take innovators, people with ideas, right from ideation stage up to when we see the product getting into the market. Tested, and we are sure that when it hits the market, it will survive in there. Maybe to do with innovations as well, I sit on the selection board for the National ICT Initiative Support Program that is under the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance.
What does the program do?
So the program is basically to support innovators, provide funding from the government to innovators that have ideas, good ideas that are into IT. So we select people, a call is sent out, and then we sit and evaluate the proposals and call them in to present, and we look at the good ideas. If you convince us that your idea is good, then you get funding to develop your idea and provide progress reports to us so that we are sure these ideas will survive in the market and help solve challenges that we are facing here in Uganda instead of procuring expensive, products.
I bet my life you're the best person in this field. So, going to the gist, to the beginning of innovation, what do you think innovation is?
Innovation is coming up with a new or improved idea or solution that will solve a challenge and will bring you money as an innovator. That's how I can simply define innovation. It should be solving a challenge, but it should be also bringing you money. So it should have a commercial viability in it, not just developing and keeping it or developing for charity. It should be improving or solving a certain challenge. It can be an improved idea or an idea to improve on what already exists, or you're coming up with something totally new.
When we are growing up, when we want to go in different sectors, for example, when you want to become a doctor, your parents get to see you at a very initial stage, and they're like, this kid is going to become a doctor, this one is going to become a mechanic. What are some of those characters of a good innovator? What would you see and tell that this person is a very perfect innovator?
You can't tell that someone is a perfect innovator until they start moving. Because with innovations, I always tell people, what I did not tell you at the beginning is that I mentor innovators, practically work with them right from understanding the idea, writing a concept, and coming up with a solution that we think will work. Sometimes you might be excited and you're thinking, wow, I have an idea, I think I have a solution. But before you start talking about your solution, what challenge are you trying to solve? So that's what I do. And it's really hard to tell that someone is a good innovator unless they start working and working on their challenge, coming up with a solution, and you see them persisting to make sure that they push it. Because at the beginning, there is no money. Most people want to look at direct benefits.
That is
you're investing in your time, you're putting in transport. Nobody has money to fund just an idea. There are few funders that have money to fund just an idea. But that idea should have a proof of concept which has to move right from challenge definition, which takes some time and persistence. You do literature review. That's one other thing that I teach at CAMTech, or I teach people how to write concepts and understanding challenge.
We're going to come to that.
Yeah. So you can't tell that someone is a good unless they start
working
on their first idea and you see it progressing and becoming successful.
You said you teach innovators. You teach the people who want to become innovators, right? How, looking at different kinds of people, because as long as the person is willing, that person can do something. How do you select them? How do you recruit them? What is the criteria that you follow when you are recruiting your entrants?
Okay. So we have different ways through which we identify people, or people come into our ecosystem. One is we've been organizing what we call monthly innovation cafes, where you come up with a topic, a thing, and then people, if for example it could be about breastfeeding, for example, challenges to do with breastfeeding. People will come and brainstorm on challenges to do with breastfeeding, challenges they have seen, they have experienced, or they have read about in the area of breastfeeding, and brainstorm on just solutions, possible solutions, but just as a brainstorm. So that is one avenue. So from there, we get them to the Innovation Support Office, which I lead as well. So, and we guide them if they are interested. You will fill a form, we guide you on how to put together a concept to define your challenge. Then the other avenue is we've been organizing hackathons, medical technology hackathon. We missed one this year, but they have been happening since 2012. Yes, so last year we had one. We were supposed to have another one this year in August, but it never happened due to circumstances.
So what happens in these hackathons?
So people will come and pitch challenges and then form teams, and they start working on their ideas, solutions, prototypes, and they present. So there will be winning teams, but there is post-hackathon. Even those who have not won, are they able to continue working on their challenges? So we'll invite them, those who are interested, into our incubation system. If they want to register, they will register, and then we start taking them through the process. The other avenue is walk-ins, internship programs. Before I go to walk-ins, internship programs that we've been conducting every year. Interns from different institutions, mostly must, but we also encourage others from other institutions, universities, continuing students to apply. So we take them up, they form teams, we take them through that process. They have to come up with ideas, a challenge to work on as a team, like different teams within the cohort. And so we will guide them and they start working on prototypes. The other last avenue is just walk-ins. You will come, you say, I have an idea, I have a challenge that I would like you to help me solve. How do I start? We take you up if you're interested, and we start.
For how long, I forgot to ask you this question, for how long have you been in this field, dealing with innovations?
Personally or as a program?
Personally.
Personally, it is since 2014, I think 2015. Around there. It was 2014, though I came in on another project which was an innovation, but now becoming a core program staff, not a project staff, was 2015. 2015. Yeah, 2015.
Those are roughly 5 years, 5 to 6 years down the road. When you are recruiting these people, do you have a certain kind of sector that you recruit? Because dealing with innovation, it has no sector as long as you're dealing with a challenge. I'm coming with my idea. Do you take me in, regardless of the
It's your seriousness that will qualify you, because we have a step-by-step process that has checks. We are at each stage. So once you have written your concept, we have reviewed it, we have guided you, have given you changes. As a team, you're working on improving the changes that we have provided you with to improve your concept. We now organize what we call a project qualification review exercise. That is a check where we have experts in that area. For example, I'll use breastfeeding still. If it's a challenge to do with breastfeeding, we'll get experts, maybe a pediatrician, a nurse, someone like stakeholders in that area, end users, to come and listen in and see, because you're not developing for yourself, you're developing for someone else.
Yes.
The challenge you're talking about, that it's a challenge, there's someone who has experienced it, who knows what takes place. Are you sure it's a challenge? The solution you're developing, we have an expert. If it's an IT to do, like maybe an application you're trying to develop, we have an expert who is listening to you. We have a business person to listen to the business sense you're trying to bring on board. Does this innovation, will it make money or not? And how will it make money? Or you're developing something that will be very expensive and it will just stay in the shelves. Like, so if you pass that level, they are the ones to decide whether you pass or not. If they say you don't pass, you need to make more changes, we'll take you back to the first stage. You make changes, make improvements, come back and repeat. Once you pass that level, that stage, we now register you officially to the incubation system center, into the lab. And there are many checks there as well, like I have explained. So you start working, so there are many, we have a 12-step process.
That brings me to my next question. For all those steps, where are you registering the highest number of people who are dropping out of the system?
Leaving or dropping?
Dropping out of the
Dropping is at the initial stage. Most people, and I think you might be knowing that, they don't like reading and writing. When you tell them to write, and me, I'm happy if you drop off at that stage, because I take you not to be serious. If you cannot read and understand the challenge you're trying to solve, how sure am I that you will develop something that will survive in the market? It will not affect people. You know the value of the product right from the start. So you know the challenge. You have also, so that concept is it's a brief concept that we write, but it has to be very informative and objective, with literature and citations. So we teach people how to do literature search, like to write a concept briefly that is convincing someone that there is a challenge. There are solutions in place that have been provided, but I think they are not working because of ABCD. Now, this is what I'm providing, and this is why I think it will work, and this is how I will make money out of it. This is my team that is well experienced and qualified enough to develop this solution that I'm proposing. So the drop-off rate is more at the initial stage, and we are happy with that. Because most innovators are excited to start building. They will come to you and they say, I have my solution. Like they are excited to tell you about that solution. But when you ask them what problem they are trying to solve, the solution is solving, they are not sure what problem it is. They cannot focus to understand who the user is, what problem, who is affected mostly by the problem, what has been put in place. You're not the first person to develop a solution. There are many people who have been developing solutions towards solving that same challenge. What is the uniqueness of your solution? Where is the value proposition?
I have gone through the first, second, third. Let's take an example. I am on the 8th stage and everything is not turning out.
No, I'm sure. When you cross the first stage, the drop-off rate there, like I said, is more. Now, the second stage is for you to get officially registered, and you write what we guide you to put together a product requirements document. before you start building this innovation, can you detail what is required? What are the requirements for building this solution that you and where will you get, if there are equipment, where will you get the materials from? You need to know all that. So that stage also has to be reviewed, like there are experts we invite to sit and look at your document. It's a standard document that we follow. Look at your document, evaluate the information, ask you questions, give you comments, go back and improve on your product requirements document. So once that is passed, now you start building your first prototype. You start building your first prototype.
So that becomes easy because it is in line
So
with what
another
you
drop of rate, the second is at stage 2, which is not so high compared to the first stage. So stage 2, people still, it involves writing. But someone who has written a concept and it has been passed, they will quickly write the PRD, so the PRD. But there are people who will become a little lazy and it's okay.
So
but it's rare. Then you move.
What is in the PRD?
What do you require to build this product? This if it's an innovation, if it's an application, if it's a device, what are the requirements? Where will you get them? The nitty-gritties of, now I'm going to start building this computer. What do I require and where do I get everything that I need to put together this computer?
I am looking at myself as an innovator. I have something in mind and I am not good at writing. I get someone to write for me for the first step. How do you do that? Because it is very easy. Someone can get that.
So you cannot separate innovation from writing, from research. If you do, then you're not a good innovator, because you must understand the problem that you're trying to provide a solution to. So if you cannot read and write, then you're not an innovator. So and anyway, we encourage people to work as a team. Everyone has a strength and a weakness. So you will identify who is strong in writing, who is strong in searching for it. You share responsibilities. It's really hard for you to say, I'm going to work on this solution alone, and we discourage that. You must be a team. You cannot succeed unless you are a team. Unless you say, I'm going to hire people. But when you hire someone, they will not be as passionate as someone if they are part of that team.
Coming on that, the team, it is something very sensitive, building a team. Getting a team that is going to help you, that has the same interests that you have. Sometimes you find you have the interest of solving a problem, but their interests are not the same as yours.
That's
Teamwork.
very true. When it comes to team dynamics, actually we have had challenges with teams falling off. There are people, but we talk to them, we try our best to talk to them. There are people, I will pitch an idea and then I bring people on board, but I want to own it. And I'm not recognizing other people's efforts. Pitching the idea does not mean that it could be my idea, but now it turns away from being my idea to our idea.
Because it is helping society.
Yes, it's our idea because we are working together. If I'm bringing up something, because an idea, you can have an idea now, like you have your idea right now. We are seated here, you're thinking about something, you will pitch it to me, I pick interest. By the time you reach stage 2, even on stage 1, the idea has totally changed. By the time you get to understand the challenge, what you had as an idea has totally changed.
You've spent for 5 years in the field. What are some of those common challenges that you have continuously faced in helping these innovators? You look at a challenge in group A, group B, this team, this year, and the same, and the next year. What are those common challenges that you have faced you've seen in these innovators?
Some of the challenges I've seen is that some people will be quiet at the first stage. They don't want to write, they leave it to like 2 people to do the writing, the research. They just, when an email comes in, they will say, hey, thank you. They continue, thank you. A meeting comes, they will come or not. When money comes, they are the first ones to celebrate. And they are the first ones to want to know how the budget will be developed. Remember, maybe that the budget was developed already. So you start seeing people getting interested at that. Not like they don't want to be so much involved at the initial stages. They want to be involved when they see something that is directly benefiting them. So that is one challenge. And usually still, even if you give them money, such people, they will not work. They come for meetings if there is some per diem because you included it in the budget as a team. They come for meetings, they will contribute a few ideas, but when it comes to real working, because you need to be passionate about the entire project from the start, it becomes a challenge. The other challenge is wanting to own the project. Because it was my idea, I decide who I want to put to add on the project, on that team. And then when it comes, because we encourage people to register companies thereafter, startups. When you get funding, there are funders, especially like government, they want to pass the funding through a company that is registered with URSB, with directors. So when it comes to directorship, this person maybe wants to take a bigger percentage and like
the interest is in money.
Those are just selfish interests. I always tell people, like they are selfish interests, because the grant will come, you run it down, the project is done, but the project has to continue. I mean, that funding is done, but you need to keep pushing the project further. When you get more funding, or after when you are in the market now, what will happen? So just a few things really.
We're going to come to the how to build an idea into an innovation after this break. That is some of the innovations bit. Let us go for a short break, and after the break we're going to talk more about innovation, how you build a good idea into a very good innovation, how you're going to solve the society problem and become influential to the society. So we'll be right back. Welcome back from that short break. Before the break, we are talking about the challenges faced by the research and grants manager, and right now we are going to talk about how to build an idea into an innovation. So before the break, we are talking about the challenges and the achievements that you have had for the time that you have spent in the field. I would like you to highlight us, how can I build an idea into an innovation, a perfect innovation, and you're like, yes, this innovation really needs funding.
Yes, thank you so much, Irina. It's an interesting question that many people come up with, like they don't know where to start from. I usually call it, where do I start from your puzzle? And we receive many of such people. Every person who comes into that innovation world and you're doing it for the first time, you're wondering, where do I start from? I have this great idea, but how do I start? So, like I mentioned earlier, you start with reading and understanding the challenge that you're trying to solve, who is affected by the challenge, who will be your end users for the product. And once you get to define that and understand it, it's the other concept that will actually give you guidance. It has 5 sections, 5 or 4. We have the problem statement, we have the solution section, we have the commercial viability section, the team, and who your partners will be, like institutions that you could partner with. So once you detail that, now we start taking you through the processes. Our processes, step by step, with checks and balances up when you start now building. When you build your first prototype, you have to get feedback from the users. For example, if you're working on a solution to do with sepsis, or you're developing sanitary towels reusable for girls, you have to take what you're developing to them and ask them for feedback. If it's an application that will help you, people to get doctors schedule an appointment for them directly, you have to take to them and ask what they think about the features in that application, and take to the would-be patients. Everyone can be a patient anytime. Ask for their feedback. What do you think about these features? What do you think if I put in you put in your name, search for the whole facilities, then you have insurance companies and all that. Those are some of, I'm just picking out some of the examples. So you get feedback, come back to the lab, improve on your innovation, incorporate the feedback, because you're not developing it for yourself, you're developing it for the users. That's why you have to keep going back to them for feedback until you have a prototype that you can take and test. Okay, so we use the design thinking model that has, includes the user. So the user has to be included in this whole process. Like, get feedback, come back, test, get feedback, come back, until you have a product that you're sure can go to the market and survive.
Okay. So I have constantly visited the user, and the user is constantly giving, because most of the time we do not develop something and automatically it works perfectly. So at what time will I rate myself that really it is at least 75% I can get it?
So if it's at like 75% and you think you have, some innovations need you to get actual ethical approval before you do the tests. For example, if you're developing an innovation that you have to use on a human being, you have to get ethical approvals for it. And then you get feedback, come back. But if an innovation is at like 80%, depending on what type of innovation, digital IT applications are easier than a product that you have to use on someone. I'll give you an example. There's an innovation we have developed. We got some funding as well. It's a wound dressing material. We call it eye dress. It's not yet in the market, but we tested it. So we use the honey and olive oil in 2 balls to dress up wounds on mothers that have delivered on cesarean section. So we had to do tests first of all on animals, guinea pigs.
That is what I was going to ask.
Yes, and then the results, when the results were good, but all those we had to get approvals. We had to apply again to get more approvals to now test on human beings, on mothers that are delivered on cesarean sections. But all that is guided.
Yes. So after getting all this feedback, now I am sure that my innovation is perfect. Is there a certain stage that I go through before putting it out to the market?
Yeah, before putting it through to the market, like you have to go through some training to do business. How do you hit the market? What do I need? I have a company. Yes, if you have a company, where do I start from? How do I make money now? How do I start making money? You get it? Yeah.
You don't just make the innovation.
But it also depends on the type of innovation of product. Like I said, if it's, for example, an application, innovation that is an application, the process will actually be shorter compared to a device that needs you to go through several approvals. Yes. If it is to be used on a human being. So the process is similar, but you will find that some products you need to repeat some stages to be sure that this product will survive in the market. Because for an IT related project, for it you can make improvements as people use. You see, like WhatsApp. Yes. After a month or a week, you see a new feature.
Exactly.
On, like they will put up a new feature. So you improve, you deploy, and improve as people use it. Then you can put also like somewhere where the users can give you feedback. But when it's a product that people have to use on
their bodies,
it's really hard. That's why like sometimes it takes time. You need to be sure and get all those approvals, because in case something happens to me as a user,
you'll be
in trouble.
Yes. I'm going to switch to something else. Security of my innovation. I have come up with my idea. I was seated somewhere sometime back, and then I had someone talk about this. These students come up with their ideas, and then they are promised funds. So they come up with these ideas, and then when they come up with these ideas, some powerful people they take them up without the consent of the innovator. Where is the security of my innovation? How can I keep it secure?
That is a challenge that has been, like, people have talked about it, and people are scared, have been scared.
That is true.
Like, worried. But what I tell innovators is that even if someone steals your idea, they will never implement it the way you wanted to implement it. So never fear to pitch your idea to people, especially if it's still in the initial stages. Pitch it, let them guide. It's really hard unless you give them details. But the good thing is that we have URIC. Now, like at CAMTech, Uganda Registration Services Bureau, which is in charge of registering IP and, guiding people on how to file for intellectual property, so that you own your idea. So we, like CAMTech, we have an understanding with them. At a certain stage, we write to them and invite them to help practically take people through, those that are ready, teams that are ready, through filing for IP. They will come with their forms, people fill them, and they guide them and they take them back to Kampala and they start on the filing process. So there at least I'm partially secure as you work on more changes.
When we are beginning, you said you do training. Do you also teach proposal writing for these innovators? Have you had instances where an innovator does not really know how to go about the proposal writing?
Yes.
How have you managed to help them?
By practically help, like writing with them. Yes, because when we are teaching them writing, we call it a scientific writing workshop.
And about that,
yes, so the scientific writing workshop teaches you the nitty-gritties, the English that we studied in primary, the nitty-gritties of how do I construct a sentence that makes sense, how do I join sentences and paragraphs, which one comes first, what is my topic sentence, what is my conclusion.
So you go back to the
yes, and everyone has been through that. Myself, when I attended the first one, which was by another person, I was like, wow, it felt like I had not studied English. But everyone who attends it, like they feel you really appreciate how important it is. When we are talking, there are words that we use and we think they are normal, But when it gets to writing, what we call scientific writing, how special will your proposal be? There are times when you're writing an email and you feel, it's a fine email. When you go back to review it, you feel there are mistakes. All that we teach people how to do that, to make sure that if you're writing, you're communicating the right message in a right way, in a proper way. Because if someone is reviewing proposals, I can have like 100 proposals to review, but which one will catch my attention? The writing style matters a lot, and how you communicate the message.
Do you attach these good innovators to funders?
Yes, they're not attaching, encouraging them to compete. Like if there's a call, we identify a call and we see this team fits. Because when we start working with them, they become actually part of us. I can call you anytime, you can call me anytime and ask anything. Like we become like sisters and brothers, because you know you're focusing on one thing and you all want to see it succeed.
Last message to the innovators.
What I would encourage people, especially the innovators, to do is if you have an idea, a good idea, it's always good for you to make sure that you pursue it. Get a good team that you think you can successfully work with, and then if you can, identify a hub, because hubs already have systems in place that can guide you. Like as you're working, you need mentors. So if you have a hubs already have connections with mentors, so they can connect you to the mentors and they guide you, and they can also guide you through the processing. And anyone can be an innovator. Innovation is not for special people. Anyone, as long as you are interested and you are someone who can, let me call it kulemerako, persist.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for the great work that you're doing here.
Has been it for today about innovations. I have learned something. I hope you've learned something. What I have learned is basically, don't look at money. Don't look at the benefits of the innovation before implementing it. Take your time, go through the steps, and once it is solving a certain problem to the society, it really is going to pay. I have been a Shanawa Erina, and I was with the Madam
Nuriat, Nambogo.
Nuriat, Nambogo. Thank you for watching. This is Digiati Talk Show. Remember to subscribe Digiati Media on YouTube and Digiati Talk on Facebook. We are here to inspire, motivate, and also sensitize different kinds of people. Thank you for watching.